Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, meanwhile, is demanding Israel hold new elections once the war against Hamas winds down. Watch this.
The fourth major obstacle to peace is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has all too frequently bowed to the demands of extremists. I believe in his heart he has his highest priority is the security of Israel. However, I also believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way. If Prime Minister Netanyahu's current coalition remains in power after the war begins to wind down, then the United States will have no choice but to play a more active role in shaping Israeli policy by using our leverage to change the present course.
Raising the issue of getting Netanyahu out in the middle of a war. House Speaker Mike Johnson slammed Schumer, calling the demand highly inappropriate. Watch.
This is not only highly inappropriate, it's just plain wrong. For an American leader to play such a divisive role in Israeli politics while our closest ally in the region is in an existential battle for its very survival.
Joining me right now is the Center for American Security co-chairman, Fox News contributor, former national security advisor to President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, and author of War by Other Means, a general in the Trump White House. Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg is here. Lieutenant General, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. This is really stark for Schumer to come out. By the way, he's the highest ranking Jewish person in Congress. For him to say that he wants new elections now, to make this statement during a war, he says as the war begins to wind down, your reaction?
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Thanks for having me this morning. Look, that was stunning, his comment by Schumer. Speaker Johnson's got it right. Schumer has it all wrong. I was just in Israel just a few weeks ago. And when you look at Israel, what's happening right now, remember, that's a 75-year-old democracy in the Middle East. In the Likud party and Benjamin Netanyahu, his approval ratings are very, very high compared to his counterpart, who is probably would be a successor, is Benny Gantz in the Blue and White Party. And his numbers keep going up, meaning Netanyahu's, because they realize he's a wartime president. And he's fighting a war of eradication against Hamas. I would remind everybody that Hamas is a terrorist organization. They attacked into Israel on the 7th of October. They killed Americans. They've taken Americans hostage. And he's fighting this fight because it's basically a war of extinction for them. And he realizes that, and we should realize that as well. And we should support the ally, Israel, and not push back against him. And we're creating what I call a seam, S-E-A-M, not a scene, but a seam between us and Israel. And this gives adversaries an opportunity to go right up that seam and create a division in the United States of America. We should be full stop behind them, saying, we're behind Israel, stop. That's where we're at. And this is something that I thought we decided in 1945, where we said never again, and now we're back to it again.
Let me bring in Ashley, because Ashley, earlier you made a great point in saying that Chuck Schumer is the leading Jewish person in Congress, and certainly in the Senate. And, you know, I remember right after October 7th, when Israel was attacked by Hamas, and that triggered all this anti-Semitism across college campuses. It took Chuck Schumer so many weeks to actually say anything about the anti-Semitism across the country. I kept saying it. Where's Chuck Schumer, the leading Jewish person in the Senate? And now this, your reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I have so many things to say about this. I don't even know which one to pick. But I think, number one, I think he's scared of losing his job in November. And so he's placating and probably made this statement because of the extreme left. The left is continuing to back away from supporting Israel. So, number one, I think it was a political thing for him. Number two, Keith was exactly right. I mean, his statement was a win for Hamas. And so the speaker and actually Leader McConnell made a really strong statement on this as well. The more Chuck Schumer comes out and says things like this, the weaker that Israel looks, because their strongest ally, meaning us, is backing away from them. It just was unprecedented. And then my final point is, just because I'm on a roll here, is that Democrats are always screaming their heads off about foreign interference in our elections. And look what Chuck Schumer just did yesterday.
That's right. General, your thoughts in terms of what happens next here. He's being slammed for getting involved at this point and for asking for elections in the middle of a war.
Yeah, he should, Maria. And look, we should just turn to the Israelis and say, you've got to eradicate Hamas. It's a terrorist organization. And they're going to go into Rafah. And oh, by the way, this whole idea of a two-state solution between they and the Palestinians, that's gone away. When you go into Israel, you have to realize that they understand that this is a long-term event that's going to have to take place with bringing the Palestinians back into the fold. I remind everybody, it took us 12 years to bring the South back into the North after the Civil War with Reconstruction. It's going to take a long time because 85% of the Palestinians in Gaza approved of the operations by the Nakba battalions when they went into Israel on the 7th of October. This is going to be, they're going to have to just basically do a re-education campaign if they want to bring them in for assimilation. So this isn't something that's short term. But a ceasefire is wrong, long term, maybe a short term, okay, to help get the hostages out, which, by the way, we still don't know where they're at or how many there are. And the second is people should stop talking about a two-state solution. It's just not going to happen. When you get on the ground, you realize that. Israel's gone from a center-left country to a center-right country, all because of what happened on the 7th of October. And it's going to take a long time for them to come back.
General, I've got to ask you about Haiti while I have you. Pentagon officials are telling Senate Armed Services Committee members that they're prepared to evacuate U.S. citizens in Haiti at any time. Officials say, quote, Southcom has successfully airlifted embassy staff out of the country, but a number of Americans still remain in Haiti, and some may be looking to leave. Yeah, no kidding. The U.S. Southern Command sending a specialized Marine anti-terrorism unit to Haiti to protect the American embassy and potentially evacuate personnel as Haiti's most powerful gang leader took over the country, forcing Prime Minister Ariel Henry to step down. We've been showing pictures of this barbecue guy. Look, General, what are your thoughts here in terms of getting these Americans out? We just spoke with Corey Mills, who's been really masterful. He's done such a good job in terms of trying to get people out. He said there could be at least 100 more, if 100 or more Americans still in Haiti right now.
Yeah, Marie, there's actually a bigger picture to this. When we evacuate Haiti, that's the 7th embassy that we have evacuated under President Biden. We evacuated 0 under President Trump. And part of that is the destabilization you're seeing in the world. And the congressman was right on getting people out. Look, we need to get our people out that are non-essential to move them out. But don't evacuate your embassy because that's basically home. And you have to keep that in place. And this administration just seems to whistle past the graveyard and let that go. I mean, there's some real destabilization in Haiti. And I think when you look what's happening with Governor DeSantis in Florida, he's right. You're going to have to protect yourself against a whole. Remember the boat people I came across from Haiti the last time. They're going to have to prevent that as well. And Haiti is just totally destabilized. It's been that way for a long time, and we have actually taken no action to help them stabilize a government, and that's by keeping people in place, meaning our embassy.
Yeah. All right. Great to talk with you, Lieutenant General. Thank you so much for your insights. Keith Kellogg joining us this morning.